Hello, everyone. My name is Philippe. I'm with Taji Mag. How are you? And thank you for
Hello.
joining me.
Good.
Hey,
How are you?
morning or good afternoon or whatever time
Okay,
it is now.
good afternoon. Um, so I wanted to ask you guys, how were you? What was your approach to developing this episode? Because it starts off with the music first of all, and then it goes on to some other nuggets and Easter eggs. So can you explain the process for this episode?
Yeah, when you pick a time period, obviously you want to immerse the audience in that time period as quickly as possible. And we our intention was to sort of, because this season we've been able to sort of go to other countries. We wanted to give start the episode with people thinking, wait a minute, are we in Korea for a second? And of course, the music obviously centers you on the time period, but then that shift of realizing, oh, wait a minute, this is not Korea, this is Koreatown. That was sort of our way to sort of draw you into the moment, and done, amazingly by Tamika. You root everybody in the place where they're going to be, and because this is an episode that takes place in the shoe store for the majority of the episode, we wanted it to feel like a really lived in place and a real organic place. So having been recognized, seeing LA Gear shoes. I can't remember the last time I've seen an LA Gear sneaker. I feel it's been a while. And certainly when he picks up the Jordans, tells you, right then and there, when and where we are, without having to sort of, Chiron it. And of course, by the end of our teaser, when we buttoned it with the reveal of, oh, wait, this is the day that the LA uprising began, then you realize, okay, now I know what the story is going to be. So it was a way to use those little details to build expectations and then surprise the audience as to what they're going to get this episode.
Mm. Yeah, and bringing the music, the music is so key. I love, as a director, as a storyteller, I love the process of the post process. I'll put it that way. Not only editorially but also musically, because music submits us in a time. Not only submits us in a time, but it also submits us into a feeling. And so I was very fortunate to have some 90s music that really could bring us into that time period that only, elevates the episode even more.
Definitely that music, the opening of when playing Poison, it's just sort of like that just sets it off right there. You're just like, yeah, I remember that. I was, that was my time period. It's like very important time, and so it was very much it was just fun that to have that. And then again, it's like with all this, the shoes and and being able to sort of like create that mystique and that allure of like, and that want of like, man, I remember when I wanted a pair of Jordans, couldn't get, it was like everybody had wanted a pair of Jordans but couldn't get them. And LA Gear, like it's been said, or just any of those shoes, and it just becoming the sort of early stages of a very bad habit that day.
Okay, Benjamin, you had mentioned this episode circle around the LA riot. Um, what part of it? How much of it was research, and then how much of it was your own experience of being there when it was announced and when it was going on? And
Yeah,
so for all you guys,
I was not in Los Angeles when they happened. I was still in college in Michigan, so I wasn't even here. I was seeing it on the news, and so for me, also, I'm not Korean, I'm not Black, so I'm outside of those two communities that were so directly impacted by it. And so for me, to try and even begin to tell a story like this, I had to rely on my writing partner, who was Black and Asian. I had to rely on research. I had to try and do the best I could to honor the reality of what was happening within the context of the drama we were trying to create. And sort of, I had to educate myself on a lot of different things. I mean, we were sticklers about the timeline. Like, we really wanted to punctuate it with the verdict about the Rodney King trial, and having that be the moment that we realized, oh, this is the story we find ourselves in. What looks like a family drama in a Korean shoe store is much bigger than you realize. Using the snippets of footage of of what was going on, using, Korean radio, like all these different things. Again, things that I was not present for, but had to sort of learn about in order to tell the story effectively. So it was a process for me, for sure.
Tamika and Deric, do you want to weigh in?
Tamika?
Repeat the question.
Well, just what was your how much it was research being in the time period of the Rodney King incident, and how much it was you, I guess, not necessarily being there, but just hearing about the news and how it impacted you?
Yeah, for me, like Ben, I wasn't in Los Angeles at the time, but I think, I was in Florida at the time, in Miami in particular, and I think everyone was captivated. I don't think it matters where you were in the country. You were glued to what was unfolding. And so I had that mental history, but for me, after reading the script and knowing what we had to execute, it's just me doing my own research, and that entailed watching documentaries, reading, really getting a sense and submerging myself into what was happening at the time in LA in 1992, what had led up to that, what had happened the year prior, like all of those things really informed me and how I should go about executing this episode.
And then I would make the trifecta of like not being in LA, but I was in Southern California. I mean, I was stationed in Southern California, but at that point in time, I was stationed elsewhere. And so when it happened, being in the military, seeing, a lot of my friends, a lot of my Black friends we were all watching this, wondering like, how is this going to impact us as well? Because it was starting to be concerns and ripple effects of like might happen on this base and so forth and so on, especially when you have friends and family back in LA. So there was a bit of a distance to it, but at the same time, a connectiveness. And then also over the years, having a lot of friends working in this business that were here, that did experience this, including, like Ray and Ray's family, like being there. And that's why it was so important for Ray wanting to be, to be able to tell this story. And so, that was very much a drawing from other people's experiences that had that much, that were much closer to it than I was, or Ben was, and but still being able to infuse it with our own sort of POV and research, and making sure that, again, it's like Ben always says, we got to get it right. You got to get something, especially something like this. It's like, you can't, there's no sugarcoating it. There's no, really, but also you only have a limited amount of time to tell the story. And so like, you have to, drill down and really nail the things that you want to tell and get out there, because it's so complex and there's so much happening. But this was an opportunity also to tell it from a POV that's not normally seen on television. And so that was very important to us as well.
And Magic has a great presence in this episode. Can you talk about the decision to have him be in this episode and how he fits within the storyline, without giving too much away, of course? And Tamika, at the end of that, can you really give us insight on how you were able to direct him and hold the camera on him during these emotional moments?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with Ernie Hudson, like being able to write for Ernie Hudson. That's, again, that we're very excited about doing that. And we love working with Ernie, and he's so wonderful and so generous. And so and this story, again, varies, being able to relate to this story, but also being able to dive into magic a bit more in a way that we haven't been able to do, that we've been wanting to do. So that was very important. And where it is in the episode and in the season, it was just the perfect opportunity to sort of like get that story out there. Ben.
Oh yeah, no, seconding all of that. It just, one of the things that makes our show different from the original series is that we have a supporting cast who have lives and who are part of, Ben's adventures, and taking the opportunity to sort of delve into them is important, because we have such great talented actors. I mean, Ernie Hudson, one of the examples of that. And the fact that we did a time jump between season 1 and season 2, we have a 3-year gap, and in our early episodes, anyone who's been watching will see that we very carefully have planted things of, here's where you're going to get to learn what this character has gone through in a way that, maybe you didn't think, that maybe it wasn't so easy. Maybe it was more difficult than you realize. And Magic's character being the leader of the team, being the father figure of everyone, struggling with the loss of a son, right? A surrogate son. It seemed like this was the perfect opportunity to tell a story like that. And when it got wedded to the trauma of his past, I mean, it was sort of a perfect storm of opportunity for character, and we really leaned into it.
Yeah, it was, this is my first time working with Mr. Ernie Hudson, and he's a remarkable actor, but he's a remarkable man. And in my prep process, I got on the horn and talked to Ernie, and really talked about where Magic is in this episode, and also where Ernie was, in his own personal life, and what he brings as a Black man to this character and into this moment. And I learned that that Ernie had his own experience back in Detroit, and with the 1967 uprising there. And so it was I mean, it's really great to be able to execute a script like this, to bring this to life, and have Ernie as Magic really be committed to this character and to going there. And one thing that Ernie and I talked about is how much we would go there, because Magic is so well decorated. How much do we show this Black man's pain and vulnerability? So that was something I was very cognizant of and conscious of, and really wanting to show Magic as this man who's affected, but also show him as a man who has, in spite of all of that, has been able to have this most remarkable career. And so yeah, I hope I was able to accomplish that. Of course, with the help of Mr. Ernie Hudson. I mean,
yeah. I mean, you guys definitely did a great job. I was just thinking to myself, I think this is one of my favorite episodes of the franchise, not only just this season, or this new version of Quantum Leap. So that's all the questions I have. Keep up the good work. I'm going to advertise as much as I can, because I loved it and it resonated with me so much. And it gave me chills at the end of the episode. So
thank you. That means a lot, man. That means a lot. We worked really hard. Everybody worked really hard on it, and in this season in general. So we're just and then unfortunately, on behalf of our actors who are still out there, fighting the good fight, it's kind of bittersweet, because they wouldn't love nothing more than to be able to talk to you as well, and be a part of this, especially for Ray. This was like he has expressed how much this episode means to him. So,
well, I appreciate it, guys. Keep it up, and hopefully get to talk to you in the future.
Absolutely,
yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Make us sound good.
I will. All right.